Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, August the 13th. Pleasure to have you with us. You were listening yesterday. You remember that we had astronaut Linda Godwin on with us. She flew on the Endeavour Space Shuttle. She's back again today because Linda did a spacewalk on that particular mission too. Was that the first spacewalk you did?
I did one other spacewalk on my third mission before that one, a few years prior.
The purpose of this particular spacewalk was what?
We were going to make our way up to a gimbal assembly on the space station for the solar arrays and put on a thermal component to it to alleviate some issues.
We've got some video of you getting into your equipment, right? And that's pretty cumbersome.
It is, and we had to check out a lot of that equipment the day before, which is what you're seeing here first, some of the tools that we're going to attach to our suit to take out with us in a tool stanchion. And so it's very important that all that be working correctly before the day of the spacewalk, and we get into the lower torso and eventually the upper part and get ready to go outside.
You were telling me that those spacesuits weigh a couple hundred pounds.
A few hundred pounds, yeah. And they don't, so they're floating up there, but they have the properties of mass, which means translating across, down the cargo bay of the shuttle or something, you want to stop, it kind of wants to keep going because you're stopping that much mass.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you stepped out of the space shuttle or the station into the vastness of space, and we're looking at you right now, floating in space, what was it like?
Well, it is very focused because it's very important that we not mess up. And the scene you're seeing here is we had just transferred our tethers to the shuttle robotic arm so we could be moved closer to our destination. Like, that's really critical to get all the tethers made so we don't float away. So there's a lot of attention to detail, and then you think, okay, I got to pull back and appreciate that we're orbiting our planet, and it looks great.
Did you have a chance to just look at the Earth from out there?
Yeah, but it's almost like you have to think to yourself to stop and do it because your brain is working. Spacewalks look so slow when you're watching them, but the brain, the people inside are thinking about so many different things, and so it's a focusing that has to happen.
And you have to do these things in a certain amount of time.
Right, and there's a lot of people watching and monitoring, and
they're monitoring everything that you do.
Yeah, and there's a lot of safety aspects to it as well as successfully completing what we wanted to do. And also you can see how everything just floats around up there, and that's kind of good and bad because it's easier to move around, but things can get tangled or messed up. And so there's just a lot of attention to all the detail.
Now, when I'm looking at this video, you're upside down at one point.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you're upside down?
You really shouldn't because there is no sense of up and down. But I did find that one position I got in where I was always upside down when we trained in the water tank, which felt very upside down, my brain wanted to go back to that.
But when you're out in space?
But really there is no up and down, no.
So when you were out in space, even though we look at you and it looks like you're upside down, it doesn't feel that way.
No, I think our brains often try to make an up or down, and if you're somewhere where there's familiarity or there's some writing or, it'll flip to say, okay, I think this is up and down, but there's no real.
Yeah. Now, on this mission, you were taking back that big UPS cargo.
Yeah, so yesterday we took it out, and here my crewmate Mark Kelly is putting it back in, and I'm the assistant, and so we reloaded it with things that were coming back with us to Earth and put it in the cargo bay and brought it home.
Yeah, and here it looks like you're saying goodbye.
It's at the end of and the change of command between the outgoing shuttle of the space station commander and the incoming. And we get the right people on the right sides of the hatches where they're supposed to be and close them on both sides and separate.
And then you de-dock or separate.
And we actually took some time there. We didn't come home till the next morning, but this morning being relative, but this fast forwards a bit. It was our next major activity after undocking.
So once you undock from the space station, then what's the next thing that happens?
Well, we just start putting everything away that you have to get ready for entry. And there's actually a lot of tasks to do that. One of the things we did was fly. Actually, before that, we fired jets to position us at different positions around the space station and took a lot of photos and video because they liked they liked every shuttle to do that. It's information as well as good.
So you're packing for home.
Packing for home now, and now we have started home.
So once you start out of orbit and you're committed to landing, and you were going to land at Cape Kennedy, once you start out of orbit, there is no going back.
There really isn't. There could be some energy management down close to the ground that could move things a little bit, but there's not a lot of runways the shuttle can land on that are close to each other. So basically, we're committed for that runway. And
There is no power when you're coming in.
no
is there?
power when we're coming in. No,
What-
no
what-
additional thrust to like do a go around or extend the.
It looks like you're over the
entry.
Rocky or the Swiss Alps.
Yeah,
And that was a beautiful view of
beautiful
Earth.
view of Earth. Earth looks so pretty.
And,
And this is a view from the ground.
okay, when you're starting to come back into the atmosphere, what are you feeling in the shuttle at that point?
It's all compared to ascent. This is a relatively quiet ride, but as we lose our velocity, where we were in a free fall orbit, we were going fast enough. We kept falling around the Earth, which actually makes it feel like we're floating. But as that speed bleeds off, we start to feel heavier and heavier, and it feels pretty heavy compared because
You
we've
feel
gotten,
heavy?
Yeah, it's because our brain has gotten readjusted.
Okay, you were
less,
weightless, and as you're
But
coming down.
my equipment would feel heavier. Your brain said, I didn't have to push that hard to hold this up yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And here we're getting ever closer to landing, and that's a heads-up display in the view of both the pilot, the commander, the two people in the front seats.
Now, on this particular flight, you were landing through some pretty heavy clouds.
Yes, and they observed the weather in great detail, and we got lots of updates. And this was a little unexpected to fly through that cloud bank, but it cleared way before touchdown, so it wasn't an issue.
And now here's a shot of the shuttle coming down. Again, no power. You're
No
just
power.
a
It's a
heavy
big-
glider.
Yeah, it's a glider with stubby wings.
And
that
once
comes in and
you
lands.
once you touch down, then a parachute deploys. If that parachute didn't deploy, would you be able to stop on that runway?
Yeah, the early, it's much better to be at Edwards if you're going to have a long rollout, Edwards test facility. But it would still, I think, be fine here at the shuttle landing facility. And the early shuttle flights did not have this drag chute.
Yeah. So you was this your last flight
That was my last flight, yes.
when you got
That
out
was it.
and you were standing on firm Earth again? What went through your mind at that point?
Oh, there were people I was anxious to see. So, there's a myriad of emotions. But there was a thought that, well, I'm not going to be doing it again. And the other 3 times I came back, I thought, I think I have a chance to still go back again. But this time,
You knew that was
I
the
knew
last
that
one.
that was going to be the last one.
And a little bittersweet.
Yeah, a little bittersweet. And I was
Yeah.
glad we had a successful mission.
Linda Godwin, I thank you so much for taking time out to visit with us today and share with. I watched all of the space shuttle launches. I remember when I was working at KOMU, I'd stop whatever I was doing to watch those take off into space. It was exhilarating for me, and it was so exciting chatting with you today
Thank
about
you.
and reliving it for
Well,
you.
I appreciate your interest in it so
Oh,
much.
thank you
you
so
for
much.
letting me talk about it.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.